It's so ungodly cold.
It is freezing.
It's just painful. It's so ungodly cold.
It is freezing.
It's just painful. It's just all pain. Alright, we're good now here. We're gonna smush our cookies.
Can't smush the cookies. Say what's up.
It's bitter, frigid, cold, and we were pulling off to get something to eat, driving down to the boat on 95. And the car just died on us, and the battery seemed to just lose power. The steering locked. I'm just really, really grateful we were able to pull into a little place that has a hotel. Hopefully we can get the repair done tomorrow and continue on our way. So it's frigid out. It's just been nuts. The weather here is crazy in the sense of the cold. I mean, they even have school districts that are all closed today because it's that frigid. So it's quite an adventure.
Hey everybody, how you doing? We're finally back at the boat. We had a little bit of an adventure getting down here, and now that we're here, we got lots of stuff to do to get ready to leave this marina and head south. No, this is not a lightsaber. This is just a light, because now we're looking back at the engine here, because we had a lot of boats here while we had the deep freeze that had pipes frozen, and one boat started sinking. So take a look at this. As you all know, the east coast of the USA got hit with an unusually, cold front, and the air was just frigid. And it wasn't just 8 degrees up in Pennsylvania; it was 8 and 10 degrees all the way down the coast, even down into North Carolina, and even here in South Carolina. In fact, even Georgia and northern Florida had ice and snow. So normally, the third week in January every year is the coldest in general on the East Coast, but this year we really got hit. And so the marina here, some of the boats who had plumbing that is above the waterline, they had burst pipes because no one anticipated that this cold front was just going to come out of the blue. Normally you winterize when you take the boat out of the water, or if you leave the boat in the water, you winterize, January 1st. Or even December 1st, but a lot of these boaters down here in South Carolina don't winterize. Now, up in the Chesapeake, where it gets cold earlier, people winterize as a course that's kind of like seasonal sailing. But they just didn't expect it down here. So when we came back down here to South Carolina, some of the boats had strainer and seacocks that were a little bit above the water, half above the water, half the water that froze and started letting in water when the water started to not freeze. We had about an inch of top ice over the whole little area here. So a lot of broken pipes here, a lot of boats that had damage from the water. Now we're back here at our boat, and so I'm checking to see. Now, one good thing is that underneath the water line, then you're going to be okay, because, for instance, usually the water down here, well, actually they measured it, was like 40 degrees, even though the air was 8 degrees above that. So water kind of acts as an insulator. A lot of our plumbing is under the water, and also we don't have a lot of, well, we have no water. We don't have a water tank, so we don't have a water system to winterize. So that kind of hey, aim. And that kind of worked out for us good this year. But normally you're supposed to winterize by just simply, pouring out the water and putting in like antifreeze into the pipes and stuff. So anyway, our engine is water cooled and we are below the water line, but I still want to, check it out. Number two, since we are preparing to head out, because our engine does leak, and I love a comment from one of our friends up in Ireland who is very familiar with the Thornycroft T90, which is a marinized version of the BMC 1500. And I had another British commenter say that a lot of the British made engines, period, in the 70s and 80s and into the 90s, whether it be motorcycle engine, boat engines, they just kind of leak oil a bit. So now at the same time, we are keeping an eye on our engine because we want to see where it's leaking from, and I'm thinking that maybe our engine needs to have the heads redone. Not heads, what's the word?
Head gasket.
I noticed that the previous owner had a head gasket that was not installed, just kind of like sitting out. So I'm thinking that was a project he never did, he wanted to do. So, I don't know a lot about diesel engines. We're learning about it. We have talked to folks about it. So if it's just a head gasket that's leaking a little oil, then that's not a big deal because it's the top part of the engine. You don't have to take the engine out to do that. So we're monitoring, and we do spill oil into, unfortunately, the engine room bilge, so you can't just like turn on the bilge pump and pump it out because that's totally illegal. So you have to do it, clean it by hand, and it's a hassle. But hey, if that's the price of managing this old diesel engine, this old Thornycroft T90, then that's what it is. So hey, comment if you have a diesel engine that was made in the 80s, but I mean like an old-fashioned diesel engine. Give us a comment. Let us know some of the things that you do to maintain it and manage it, especially in the area of oil leaking. We're keeping an eye on it, and this is part of the maintenance of having an old diesel engine on the boat. Well, I know this is not technically about sailing, but I did want to share this with you guys. At Christmas time, this is something that I've seen for the past 50 years. When I was a little kid, I used to look at this and play with it. And it's my dad's, and it's his knife sharpener. And so he gave it to me. And one thing about my dad, he just really keeps his stuff in just perfect condition. And so I was really, and even this thing, this buck honing oil, I remember being a kid and seeing it. I mean, this must be 50 years old, that can. Anyway, here's my dad when he was like 13 years old. He was a junior blue jacket, and this was the boat that they did their drills on. And he didn't go on to join the Navy. Instead, he joined the Army, and he was a master sergeant in the Korean War, combat veteran. And so I just wanted to share that because I really love this little sharpening stone. This is my favorite picture of my dad right there. He looks like a total cowboy. Anyway, back to the story. Yeah, so like I said, there's lots of stuff we have to do to get ready. But the first thing I have to do is I have to get up the mast because our anchor light doesn't work. And some of the commenters told me that it's not okay to just, leave on your running lights just to be seen, because if someone thinks you're moving, which those lights communicate, and then they have to go around you and if they go aground, that's not good. So I do have to go up the mast and take a look at this light, why it's not working, maybe take the bulb out. And I've never climbed the mast before, but we do have the tools which we inherited when we bought the boat. So I'll show you what we got here in the boat. It looks like a bosun's chair, and so does that mean I'm a bosun? I'm a bosun now. I also wanted to share about Patreon today, those of you who asked me questions about it. First of all, we gotta understand what Patreon is not. It is not a charity. You know how like when someone has a fire, they lose their home, or maybe they have an illness, and a friend will, develop a crowdsourcing, kind of like donate this to help this family or this person. That's charity, that's really great, that's really good to do. But that's not what Patreon is. Patreon is supporting what you think is a certain art. In other words, it may be someone on YouTube that writes songs and sings. They don't have a recording contract, but you really like their music, so you Give them, you know, $3 for every video they make, $10 a month or whatever. Do whatever you choose to do. Or it may be a theater company, or it could be a painter that you like their painting, or it could be someone who makes films. And so that's important to understand that our Patreon supporters, they're patrons of the arts, and they think that my episodes are artistic. Why? Because it's cinema, it's film. And so if that's what it's about. So it's not about charity. We've had some people kind of write us angrily saying, how dare you ask for money? And well, two things. Number one, you know, if you don't ask in life, you're definitely not going to receive. So there's no shame in asking. Number two, it's not charity. If you think the videos are artistic, then you can support it. And that's really all it is. That's all it's about. If you think you're getting something of value, then that's why you would support any artist. And that's what the theme of Patreon is all about.